for coming. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Michelle. I wanted to start off the day talking a little bit about something that you hear a lot, but maybe don't think quite so much about what a definition of, and that's brand. We all have a brand. We all participate in the process for promoting, purchasing, using brands. We're surrounded by them. But one of the things that we don't really talk about is kind of what is that brand. And so I wanted to define the brand as the collective emotional response that lies in the hearts and minds of the community. And so what that really means is that as we interact with brands and as we understand what a brand is, it's really not what the brand itself is trying to say. It's what everybody else around it says and feels about that brand. And when we talk about branding, especially from a web perspective, we must talk about the fact that in the past, brands were determined by a marketing team. Somebody put together a logo, they put together a website, they built a color scheme, they produced things like email signatures, and they originally decided what this brand was going to look like, how it was going to sound, what they expected people to interpret as the brand's value. A lot of times these websites that presented these brands were kind of digital brochures or marketing brochurewares that had a lot of marketing speak on them. They weren't really valuable to a customer who understood the brand. They were more trying to get people to understand what the marketing team thought about that brand. And traditionally in those websites, the customer voice, the people that use that brand, people that were invested in that brand, really their voice was never seen nor heard. It was really just information pushed down from the marketing team that supposedly defined or described what this product or brand was. When we talk about kind of where we are today, a lot of things have changed. What you're realizing is that there's many channels out there for your brand to extend beyond your reach. And it's not just your website or your marketing brochures or your booth at a session that's displaying your brand. It's actually being talked about, communicated with, seen, heard, and used outside of your reach. And as we start to get more intelligent people using the web and more conditioned people to use the web, we're starting to see that these site visitors or people that use your website to understand who you are, they're becoming conditioned. And whereas in the past, websites were new, the concepts were different, marketing ideas could be spread pretty quickly through a direct channel. Today, a lot of the people are conditioned to go to a website and ignore an ad or discard information that's being presented by a marketing team simply because of the tone of the speech. And so what we're finding is that some of the natural changes in the web and the way that social networking has altered this reaction, some of those changes are starting to trickle down to the users in a way that they can quickly come to your website and decipher what's real and what's not real. And what really begins to happen is that you're not able to engage the individuals directly and interactively via the web because they're turning you off immediately. When you talk about so we're in this space here where social networking and social media are aspects of all of our lives. What we talk about now is how can we begin to use this social aspect to deliver our marketing messages better. And really what we're looking to do is to harvest this response of the community and make that response work for you. So there are a lot of users that are out on Facebook and Twitter and some of these other social aspects of the web today talking about your brand. They're publishing content, they're posting links, they're having conversations. And how can you take that information that's being presented to these other channels and bring that internally so that you can invest in those relationships? And when you invest in those relationships, what you're really bringing to you is a lot of value at a low cost. You don't have to buy them gifts. You don't have to give them things that require them to talk about your brand. You just need to be able to take that information that they place out on these other sites or in your site and put it to good use. And so what you want to be able to do is to harvest that response. What builds an authentic voice inside your website is the things that the people are saying about your product, and whether they like to use your product or not use your product, if they want to buy it or not buy it, if they recommend it or trash it. And a lot of times you'll look at some of this information that's being presented on other websites by your community as both a positive and negative. We're not here to deliver a fully positive community voice. You're not going to have 100% satisfaction with all of your customers. But what you want to be able to do is build an authentic view of how the people on the web perceive your particular brand. So really what you need to do is you need to start to shift your priorities. So before, you spend a lot of time preparing content, and you would, as a marketing person, you would build lots of content that was driven by messaging that you guys have architected. When you start talking about utilizing this community, one of the first things that you need to understand is that you have to let go of control. You got to place some trust in that community. When you build a good product and you service your community really well, what you're basically saying is that you trust that community enough to inform other people what it's like to do business with you, what it's like to use your product, what it's like to be a part of your community. And so if you trust that process and you believe in the fact that you're delivering that to your users, then your priority should be to take that information from that person and deliver it as if you were delivering it yourself. And so when you nurture that community response, what you really have to understand is that that takes time and persistence, and sometimes it even takes technology. We're not living in a world of non-technological people. Everybody has to learn, how to use technology, how to build with technology. And so some of these things that you're going to be doing are not going to be, one push button thing and you get everything that you need. But when that priority is shifted and when you begin to trust that community and you let that